What's up, everybody? Let's Talk Jets Radio. Real quick video here as Notre Dame is getting their doors blown off at halftime. But the purpose of this video is to discuss the rumors that are starting to heat up with Aaron Glenn. He's going to have his second interview with the Jets tomorrow, first in-person interview. And the takes on this are becoming very, very strange. And just how the attitude has kind of shifted from a large portion of the fan base, where we had all these ideal candidates, where Glenn was maybe kind of in that middle tier. And now suddenly, just like Saleh a couple years ago, now he's the guy. And there's a lot that I like about Aaron Glenn. If you don't want to hear anything negative, fast forward like 2 minutes so I can get all this shit out of the way first, because I don't understand why the Jets, first off, deserve the benefit of the doubt, why they deserve any praise right now for having a thorough search. They've interviewed 16 different guys. A lot of these guys are candidates that are a complete joke that other teams aren't even interviewing. And the biggest thing that still bothers me is that a good portion of the top candidates, the experienced candidates, either didn't want to come here or the Jets didn't even reach out to try to interview. And so we're ultimately selling ourselves on that next tier, which is fine. Maybe you find the guy. Maybe Aaron Glenn is. And again, there's a lot of things that I'll get into that I really like about him, but it's still the unknown of the first-time guy. And the fact that some people want to praise the New York Jets for how they've gone about this search when so many of the top proven names out there had zero interest in this job, which speaks to the futility of this organization for the last 14 years. So I don't think that Woody Johnson or Jaime or anybody in the Jets organization deserves any kind of pass just because some of the top guys didn't want to come here. To me, that part's ridiculous. I don't think the Jets deserve any credit for this search or hiring the 33rd team or anything else. The biggest problem in this organization that we were all in agreement on apparently a month ago was Woody Johnson, and there's still zero signs that that part is changing. So what exactly are we praising here? To me, this is more about proving it on the field, showing results. It's not about talk. It's not about anything else. It's about actually coming in and legitimately changing the culture, and then you earn my respect, then you earn my praise. Should you get the benefit of the doubt early on, as far as not criticizing like his first move or anything like that? Sure. Give Aaron Glenn some time. If he ultimately gets hired, give him some time to get acclimated, all that. I'm fine with that. But at the same time, the Jets and the organization itself, to me, does not deserve any benefit of the doubt until results are actually proven on the field. So that's kind of where I'm at with this. I don't really understand anybody that's overly excited about another first-time head coaching candidate because, again, there are still way too many unknowns. And I know with Aaron Glenn, there's a good list of potential coordinators that he could bring with him, the connections he has to a lot of GM candidates, and you can look at that part of it and say, you know what? Maybe this can lead to some change. You could look at the way that he's risen up the ranks from a scout to defensive back coach to coordinator. He's had success along the way. But then there's also, the Lions down the stretch giving up, I think it was like 4 30-plus point games, 2 40-plus point games, 45 points to the Commanders and a rookie quarterback in a playoff game. There's a lot to like about him, but there's still a lot that's very much unknown. And even more so, coming to the Jets organization with their history of losing, the 14-year playoff drought, and everything else that he would be walking into here, including a meddling owner, a rabid media, fan base going nuts. There's a lot of what-ifs about the New York Jets job that I think is much different if he were to go somewhere else. And I think a lot of these candidates, not just Aaron Glenn, I think there are a number of candidates that could have a lot of success going to different organizations with less scrutiny and maybe being in the public eye a little bit less pressure to overturn, a complete disaster of a culture. So it's nothing personal against Aaron Glenn. I think he's definitely going to be a head coach one day, and I think he's going to be a very good head coach one day. And I wouldn't be angry if it was with the Jets. I would obviously show him plenty of support, and I would get behind the move. But giving praise to the Jets for the fact that so many guys were not interested in this job, to me, that's just bullshit. And if you also have that approach that's like, well, if you're not supportive, stop being a fan or stop watching the team. We have every right to question every single move that this organization makes when they haven't made the playoffs in 14 years, when most of the moves that they make don't work out. I think as fans, it's only right that you do question these things, especially when you get treated like shit by the organization for so long with the raised ticket prices, the PSLs. We can go back on and on, about all the different things that they've done to screw over the fans over the years without producing any kind of results. So I'm a huge fan of Glenn. And the one thing I do keep bringing up, the connections to Parcells, to Sean Payton, the fact that he was here when the Jets were at rock bottom. He saw what it took with Parcells to come in and ultimately change that culture, I think that's a blueprint that he could follow to ultimately get the Jets back on track. But it still comes back to the unknown of a first-time coach, who he's going to bring in, who he's going to surround himself with, and whether or not he could ultimately handle the pressure of being the guy, because it's completely different as a defensive coordinator going to head coach, as we did see with Robert Saleh. So I think there's definitely a middle ground that a lot of fans need to find when it comes to being supportive and open-minded and giving Aaron Glenn a chance if he's ultimately the guy, versus still calling out the organization for the fact that a lot of top-tier candidates with experience, which many of us wanted a month ago, suddenly now we're okay with not getting that guy. So, again, find that middle ground, but, like, I'm not going to come on here and attack anybody, but I know that my opinion probably is a lot different from many others, especially long-term Jet fans that legitimately like Aaron Glenn. I was rooting for him as a kid growing up. I know there's a lot of older fans that were really invested in him, that loved him as a player. You know, Tyson's one of them. So I could totally understand where a lot of people are coming from. But to me, the whole goal of this offseason was somebody proven, somebody established, somebody that you know can come in and change a culture. And until you've actually done it, it's hard to get excited about somebody doing it until you actually see the results. So I'll stay open-minded. I'll obviously be supportive, but the excitement part, I think, won't be there until I actually see things changing. We've heard the mottos before, the all gas, no break, and all the promises. Now we need to actually see results, I think, before we can get excited. So apologies for being a little negative here, but we'll be back next week talking live, probably fighting like crazy about this, but talk to you guys later.